I sold our house while my husband and my best friend slept in the bed I bought. That sentence still makes me laugh a little. I didn't scream when I found out. I didn't throw things or cry on the bathroom floor like some dramatic movie scene. No, I sat down with a glass of wine and opened Excel. I made a list. Dates, places, expenses, patterns. I had questions. The spreadsheet gave me answers. It started small. A weird receipt in his car. 2 drinks, 1 meal. He said he ate light. Then I noticed her perfume on his hoodie. He said she hugged him once at a party. I didn't even ask why she'd be in our bedroom 2 days later while I was at my sister's. My brain just took notes. I knew they were together before they admitted it. Her giggles got softer around me. His phone got quieter at night. One day, I accidentally left work early and found them passed out in our bed, fully clothed but spooning. I didn't wake them. I just stood there, looking at my best friend curled into my husband like they owned the place. That's when I started planning. The house was in my name, bought with my inheritance. He never put in a dime, never even paid a mortgage bill. I called a realtor the next day, told her I wanted a fast, quiet sale. No open houses, no signs, no question. Within 2 weeks I had a buyer, cash, full offer, closing in 10 days. I moved my stuff out slowly. A suitcase here, a box there. I told them I was decluttering. They didn't care. They were too wrapped up in each other to notice what was missing. The night before the sale, they got drunk in the kitchen and stumbled into my bed like it was their honeymoon. I spent that night in a hotel. The next morning, the new owners pulled into the driveway. By noon, the locks were changed. He called me 47 times that day, left voicemails that went from confused to furious to pathetic. She texted once, "You didn't have to do this." I didn't reply. Yes, I did. I really, really did. He forgot I'm the one who bought the house. Big mistake. We got married fast. Too fast. Everyone told me to slow down, but I was too in love to listen. I had just lost my mum, and the insurance money came in a few months later. I used it to buy a house. Our house. He moved in. I paid for everything. He said we were a team. I believed him. For a while it felt real. Dinners, weekends on the couch, road trips. Then came the little things. He changed his phone password. He stopped telling me when he'd be home. I'd wake up alone more often than not. And then there was her, my best friend since college. Always around, always helpful. Too helpful. She'd stay late to talk. She'd text him memes at midnight. I brushed it off. I trusted them. That was my mistake. One night, I came home early from a work trip. I walked in quietly, planning to surprise him. I didn't expect to hear them laughing from our bedroom, not the guest room, our room, my room. I didn't say a word. I backed out the door, drove to a friend's house, and sat in silence. After a few hours, I pulled out the house deed, my name only. I had forgotten that detail until I needed to remember it. That's when I started my real plan. The next morning, I called a lawyer, told him everything. He said it was messy, but doable, especially since I owned the house outright. I called a realtor the same day. We listed it quietly, private, showing only. Within a week, we had a cash buyer, closing in 10 days. I didn't tell them a thing. I smiled like normal. I acted like everything was fine. I cooked dinner. I laughed at her stupid jokes. I even left for work like usual, though I had already taken vacation time to pack things into a storage unit. The night before the closing, I booked a suite at a hotel downtown, brought a bottle of champagne and toasted myself. In the morning, I signed the paperwork and handed over the keys. By the time they realized something was wrong, I was sipping bubbly and blocking their numbers. He kept calling. She left voicemails, crying, yelling, apologizing. "You blindsided us," she said. No, I didn't. They just weren't paying attention. They said it was just emotional. That's what they told me with tears in their eyes. I caught them late one night, sitting too close on the couch. His hand was on her knee. Her face was turned toward his, like they were in their own little world. When I walked in, they jumped like they'd been caught stealing. I didn't yell. I just asked one question. How long? They both started talking at once. It's not what it looks like. We were just talking. It's emotional, not physical. Over and over again. They looked terrified, like I held the power to ruin them. I did. She was my best friend. Since high school, we'd been through everything together. Breakups, birthdays, family drama. I let her cry on my couch when her last boyfriend dumped her. Turns out she was crying on it while dreaming about mine. I waited until they left the room and went straight to my desk, pulled out the home deed, my name, front and center. I had bought the house before we got married. He never paid a cent. She definitely didn't. The next morning, I called a realtor, told him I wanted it sold fast and quietly. No online listings, no signs on the lawn. Just get it done. In 5 days it was sold. Full cash offer. That night I acted normal. We even had dinner together. They must have thought I was over it. She joked about going on a weekend trip, said we needed girl time. I just smiled and nodded. At 9 a.m. the next day, the new owner's team came by with flashlights, walking through the house for a final check. I sat in my car across the street and watched them wake up in a panic. Her hair was a mess. He ran outside barefoot. They looked around, confused, scared. I didn't answer their calls. They moved their stuff out the next day. She texted me, "You didn't have to do this." No, I didn't, but I wanted to. They called it emotional. I made it physical. Goodbye house, goodbye lies. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just a missing key. That's what I told myself as I sat in the living room watching him laugh at something on his phone while my best friend giggled in the kitchen. They thought I didn't notice the little thing. His new cologne, her sudden love for whiskey, his favourite, the way she avoided eye contact when I talked about our future. I noticed everything. He started sleeping in later. She started coming over earlier. One morning, I saw her car parked down the street, 2 hours before she dropped by. She thought she was being sneaky. She wasn't. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just made a plan. The house was mine, bought in my name. He'd always called it our home, but never once helped pay for it. I handled the mortgage, the bills, the repairs. He handled the lies. While they slept off one of their late-night movie marathons, I got to work. I began packing my valuables, documents, jewelry, family photos, slowly, quietly, a box a day, hidden in the back of my car. Then I called the electric company. I told them I was moving out and to shut everything off at noon on a specific day. Same with water and internet. No questions asked. I had all the ID and account numbers. He had none. Next, I changed the password to the safe, the one he thought we shared. The deed to the house went inside, along with my important papers. I smiled while doing it. It felt like setting the final piece on a chessboard. On the morning it all happened, I left early, said I had a meeting. They were still in bed, wrapped in sheets I had bought. I didn't say goodbye. By noon, the lights were off. The water stopped running. No more Wi-Fi. I turned off my phone and checked into a hotel across town. From the window, I watched the storm roll in, both outside and in their lives. He called from someone else's number hours later. His voice was confused, angry, then desperate. "What's going on? Where are you? What happened to the house?" I didn't answer. I just mailed him a spare key, the one that no longer worked. He left me out of his heart, so I left him out of his home. They used my house like a hotel, so I treated them like squatters. She was my maid of honor, the one who cried during her speech and called me her soul sister. He was my husband, the man who promised forever. Turns out forever lasted 2 years, until they started sneaking around behind my back. At first I didn't see it. I trusted both of them completely. She'd always hang around, even when I wasn't home. He said he liked the company. I thought they were just close. Too close, it turns out. I found the texts by accident. His phone lit up while he was in the shower. Just one message from her. "Last night was perfect." My stomach dropped. I opened it. There were weeks of messages, private jokes, late-night plans, and things no married man should be saying to anyone but his wife. I didn't confront them right away. I wanted to make sure I stayed calm and smart. The house was in my name, bought with my own money. He never paid a single mortgage payment. She never even contributed to a grocery bill. So I made a plan. I took money from our joint account, half of it, and transferred it to mine. Then I booked a short-term rental across town, paid 6 months up front. I wanted no distractions. Next, I hired a locksmith and scheduled a visit for the morning they were both supposed to be out. But they slept in that day. I watched through the door camera as they stumbled around in pajamas, clearly not expecting visitors. The locksmith waited with me in the car until they finally left for brunch. I had the locks changed in less than 20 minutes. I texted them both right after. "You don't live here anymore." She called me over and over. He sent angry messages, said I was overreacting. No, I was correcting a mistake. I sipped coffee in my new rental, watching the footage of them trying to get back in, confused, panicked, shouting. They used my house like a hotel. Now they're just guests who overstayed their welcome. She said, "You'll forgive him one day." I said, "You'll need a new address first." That was the last time I spoke to her. She came to me all fake tears and soft words, acting like the victim in her own mess. "It just happened," she said. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." I just nodded and let her talk. She thought I was broken. She thought I would fall apart. They both did, but I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even ask questions. I just listened and planned. The house was mine, bought in my name before the wedding. He never cared about paperwork, and that was his mistake. I still had the title, the mortgage was paid off, and I had options. I found a cash buyer within a week. Quiet, fast deal. No signs, no online listing. The buyer was a friend of a friend who didn't care about the drama, just wanted a clean title and quick possession. I made sure he got both. While they thought I was sulking, I was copying documents and preparing notices. Eviction paperwork, property transfer forms, change of ownership letters. Everything was legal. Everything had a signature. The night before the sale closed, I cooked dinner like nothing was wrong. She laughed at his jokes. He rubbed her knee under the table. I smiled. I said I was going away for the weekend. They told me to take time and heal. The next morning, they got 2 letters slipped under the bedroom door. Eviction notices. Signed, sealed, and official. They called me non-stop. "You can't just kick us out!" she screamed on voicemail. "We didn't do anything that bad." I didn't answer. He texted once. "Let's talk about this." I sent one reply. Talk to the new owner. By the time they realized what had happened, the house was gone. Their names weren't on anything. They had no legal ground to stay. I left them exactly what they left me. Nothing. She once said I'd forgive him one day. Maybe, maybe not. But first, they needed a new place to sleep. She borrowed my clothes, my secrets, and then my husband. I took back everything. She used to crash on my couch when she was between jobs, between breakups, between plans. I always let her stay. I gave her food, clean towels, and a safe place to cry. She called me her sister. I believed her. When I got married, she was my biggest cheerleader, said he was the one. She even helped me plan the wedding. I thought she meant well. I didn't know she was planning something else behind my back. It started with little signs, lip gloss that wasn't mine in the car, his sudden habit of texting in the bathroom, her strange new interest in things he liked, sports, whiskey, late-night walks. Then I saw the message. One line, on his screen, from her. "Miss you already." That's all it took. I didn't yell. I didn't confront them. I just sat there and realized they had taken what I gave so freely, my home, my love, my trust, and used it against me. So I took it back. The house was mine, bought with savings I'd worked for, not shared. He never paid the mortgage. She never paid rent. I went to a real estate agent the next day and asked for a fast, off-market sale. Found a buyer in days. Then I started packing, slowly, quietly, one drawer at a time while they were out. They thought I was organizing. They didn't care enough to look closer. The night before the handover, they were in my kitchen, drinking my wine and making plans for the weekend. I smiled, wished them a good night, and left for a hotel. By the next morning, the house was no longer ours, just mine, then sold. I cancelled the cards they used, closed the joint account, and left them with each other. She once had nowhere to go. Now she doesn't even have my couch. I didn't just take the house. I took every bit of comfort and safety they thought I owed them. They borrowed too much. Now they've got nothing. They planned a secret life. I planned a legal one. I saw it happen in real time. The late-night whispers, the quick glances, the texts they both cleared before putting their phones down. It didn't take a genius to figure it out. I just needed proof and patience. He thought I was distracted. She thought I was dumb. They both got sloppy. I found the messages one night when his phone buzzed while he was asleep. I didn't even have to dig. The whole affair was right there. Pictures, late-night "I miss you" texts, and a list of hotels they'd used while I thought he was working late. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I took notes. The house was in my name. I bought it before we got married, and I had never bothered to add his. That detail turned into my golden ticket. First, I called a lawyer. I told him everything. He walked me through the paperwork, quietly, fast, and with full privacy. Then I called my realtor and listed the house under my maiden name, just as a precaution. No one knew except the people who needed to. While they laughed in the living room and made future plans behind my back, I signed documents. I filled out title transfers. I scheduled a moving company. All of it happened while they were still pretending I didn't know. They had no clue. 3 days later, I sold the house to a cash buyer who didn't blink at a fast close. Everything was finalized in under a week. I moved out the night before and left nothing behind, not even a note. The next morning, they woke up to a silent house. My car was gone. The driveway was empty. At 10 a.m., a locksmith showed up to change the locks. He had legal orders and the new deed in hand. They couldn't stop him. I turned my phone off and watched the whole thing from a distance. They panicked. She texted me, asking if this was a joke. He called and left a long, angry voicemail. "We could have worked this out," he said. Worked what out? The lies? The secret weekends? The betrayal? They planned a secret life. I planned a legal one, and I won. She toasted at our wedding. Now she's sleeping in a U-Haul. I still remember her standing there with a champagne glass, smiling like she was proud of us. She called us a perfect match. Said I was lucky to have him. She wasn't wrong. I was lucky, back then. Before I found out she was planning her own future with him behind my back, the signs were small at first. Long hugs, quiet conversations I wasn't invited to. Late nights when he said he was working late, but came home smelling like her perfume. I told myself I was being paranoid. I wasn't. One night I walked into the laundry room and found a piece of paper tucked into one of his pockets. A receipt for a hotel. 1 room, 2 guests. Her name on it. I didn't say a word. I smiled. I kissed him goodnight. Then I stayed up and started making moves. The house was in both our names, but I still had power. I found a cash buyer through a friend and told them I needed to sell quickly. They agreed. The money would be split, but I wasn't walking away empty-handed. Next, I cleaned out half of our joint account. Legally, it was mine to take. I packed my things, quietly, 1 box at a time, and moved them into a storage unit. Then I met with a lawyer and signed the divorce papers. On the day I left, I waited until they were both out. I slipped the papers into a laundry basket with his folded shirts and left the keys on the counter. That night she called me. She was crying, asking where I was, saying I overreacted. I reacted exactly right. They came back to a nearly empty house. No warning, no backup plan. I heard they ended up sleeping in a U-Haul for 2 nights before figuring things out. She toasted our wedding. Now she's tasting her own betrayal. They were still drunk from the night before. I was already gone. I heard them laughing as I walked past the bedroom door. My husband and my best friend. They had no idea I knew. No idea I had read every message, every photo, every "can't wait to see you again" they sent when they thought I wasn't looking. They called it a mistake when I finally confronted them. Just once, they said. It didn't mean anything. It was an accident. It was a choice. I didn't fight. I didn't even cry. I said, "Okay," walked out of the room and went straight to my laptop. That night, while they were asleep, probably dreaming of how to keep their little secret going, I was talking to a realtor. The house was in my name, paid off with my money before we ever got married. He didn't have a claim. She definitely didn't. Within 3 days, I had a buyer, full cash offer, no inspections, no delays. I moved fast. While they were drinking wine and pretending everything was normal, I was boxing up my life, piece by piece. I moved the important stuff into a storage unit. The rest, donated. I didn't want to take anything they touched. The night before the closing, they had some kind of little celebration. Music, drinks, more giggles. I stayed quiet, smiled, acted like I was fine. I wasn't fine. I was free. The next morning, I left before sunrise. I had already changed my number and forwarded my mail. I turned off my location, deleted our shared accounts, and disappeared. They woke up hungover to an empty driveway and locked doors. By noon, the house wasn't ours anymore. It belonged to someone else. Legally, completely. He tried calling. She tried texting. I never saw the messages. I didn't want to. I didn't set fire to the house. I didn't slash tires or break things. That's not how I do things. I just walked away with the deed, the money, and my peace. They called it a mistake. I called it a catalyst. And that's how I burned it all, quietly, legally, and without a single tear. Hi besties, thank you so much for watching to the end. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.